Hey everyone, welcome back to Consumer Sense. So I'm Alyson, and today I'm joined by Dr. Guskey, Lexi, and Eve, and we're going to be talking about our predictions for the future, and specifically the post-pandemic future. So what things are going to look like in terms of four basic topics. We're going to talk about travel, education, retail, and restaurants. So first and foremost, we're going to go through what we think what travel is going to look like in the future. And I'm going to shift it over to Eve. What do you think is going to be the big game changers for travel? This is hit them huge. So how do you think it's going to look in the future?
So I came up with 4 different points that I think are really going to be affected in the future. First of all, I think that there's going to be a lot more hygiene awareness, and I think that everybody is going to be more conscious of, what they have, and I think people are going to really be a lot cleaner. And the fact that they're going to just carry hand sanitizer around and just always have, something on hand. And along with that, I think that there are going to be new safety protocols for the airlines. So I think the airlines are going to really focus on, having masks whenever people feel like they are sick, and, maybe gloves for flight attendants, things like that. My third point is that I think I heard somewhere that health history requirements were going to be required in passports. So they might require people to have, maybe like their immunizations within their passports just to see like exactly what people have. But that is obviously a far time away from now.
Yeah.
And then lastly, possibly people might take more road trips. And I think that this is because they're more contained and that you're not, traveling with so many people. So I think people are going to think twice before getting on an airplane.
Yeah, I definitely think those are good points. And that's interesting about the passport thing. I was wondering if, like, once this vaccine does come out, if, like, you're not going to be able to travel unless people know that you have it, sort of thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what happens with that. And I think, too, it's interesting to think about what the different countries have, what they prioritize too, because I think some nations won't be for that, but I think others will, so it'll be interesting.
Yeah, and I wonder, Eve, what do you think, like how soon are people going to be comfortable, traveling or flying again? Because you are all too young to remember, but September 11th, I mean, people were like, I'm never going to fly again, I'm never going to travel. And, over time, people became more secure. So are you getting the feeling for that too?
I honestly think it depends on the age group, because I know for the younger age groups, like I think all of us are so ready to get out of being in our house. So I think, people around my age and maybe like high school, they'll probably be ready to travel sooner than maybe the older folks or even, like new moms. I think that's another.
Yeah. But business people, a lot of people have to travel for work,
right.
So they'll continue to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just concerned with like how much money these airlines are losing right now, because I know, Eve, you said earlier that like one of your friends, there was one person on the airplane.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, that's
Florida from Pittsburgh, which that's a pretty common flight from Pittsburgh to Florida and vice versa. So
yeah,
the only one on an airplane, that's unheard of.
That's crazy. Yeah. I've heard that they're going to start selling like every other seat, like you won't be 3 in a row. You'll be like one on the either end, and that'll be it.
Yeah.
It's just weird to think, like wondering how long it's going to go on,
Yeah. Well, now's the time to really travel because, I mean, the prices are right. Hotels, restaurants, once everything starts opening up, it's going to explode. It's just a matter of when do people feel comfortable doing it again. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that is the big question too, is also like when traveling does become the norm again. Like everybody's had to postpone their vacations or their special events and their weddings and things like that. Like, is it going to be like this huge boom, or are people going to be really hesitant to go out and travel in the airports?
Yeah, I think it's going to start slow and then it's going to boom.
I think so too.
Yeah, I mean, I know Lexi's going to talk about restaurants, but you've heard of some of these restaurants where like they open it and it's almost a riot. People are trying to get in. For Mother's Day, they were everywhere.
Yeah.
So I think we're going to experience a lot of that, which is good for the economy.
I was going to say, I hope so. I think that would be really beneficial. Yeah. All right. should we shift over to retail?
Let's do it.
All right. So there's a lot of stores struggling, like even before this pandemic. And I know the big question for a lot of retailers is like, how long is it going to take for consumers to really get back out there and shop like normal? And like, what will normal even be, you know? So,
Yeah.
Dr.
Well, that's a big question. And I don't want to brag, but I was just interviewed by Forbes magazine this week about that very question. And they wanted to know, when will it be safe for people? When will it be safe for people to shop again? And my response to that was, it depends. It depends on the individual. Because like Eve was saying, it may depend on age or demographics or various things. So it's up to the individual, when would they feel comfortable. But when I was asked the question, I said, when is it safe to go back shopping in stores again? Yesterday, because the stores are they've been cautious, they've been conscientious, they've been careful in their safety, hygiene, sanitation. And so I think overall, people should start feeling comfortable as long as they practice all the safety measures, you know, with the social distancing and maybe wearing masks and hand sanitizers and things like that. But you know, we really need to get back there. I mean, if you think about 8 weeks, this country has been put on hold. Like that, if someone had told us this in February, we'd be like, oh yeah, right. Like, you know, this is a for TV movie.
Like,
but in reality, and as we've all been saying, I mean, small businesses especially have been absolutely just, oh my God, they're struggling so much. Services, nail salons, hair salons, you know, places like that. And, you know, it's a concern because a lot of them, are they going to make it? And maybe they were given a little bit of money through the government, but is that really going to help? And one of the questions is, Alyson, as you did for my introduction, a lot of the department stores have been hurting, and the malls have been struggling.
Oh my gosh, malls! I'm nervous for malls. I feel like they're definitely on a downward spiral.
Yeah, next to fitness centers, malls are the number one place that people said that they feel not safe to go into because of the, you know, just all the people there. And so, you know, you wonder and you just worry. And, you know, I hope that we're starting out supposedly slowly, but I hope people do go to and patronize the small businesses in their area because that would be, you know, the larger stores, Amazon is doing well, but, you know, it's the small mom and pop stores that we really need to provide the business and get out there and open up our wallets to them.
I'm also curious too if people's priorities are going to change when they do go back to shop. I'm curious as to, with the malls, like, are people going to focus on buying one particular product or eliminating one particular product from their usual purchases? And I'm curious to see which small businesses can make it. And I really do think that this country can, you know, see the importance of small businesses during this too.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's more positive.
But one of the concerns is, you know, people that I know, family members are shopping, and they're shopping online. They always did, but now that's all they're doing. So you wonder, are people going to even want to go to the stores because, you know, they've been able to get the products and comfortable at home and feel safe. And so it's, in a ways, it's cheaper, easier. And so then what's going to happen? You know, people are, you know, we've been shifting towards online shopping, as we all know. But this was like a big push, like, you know, and everybody's doing it now. And I think it's going to have a huge impact. And I foresee, unfortunately, a lot of retailers, big and small, are gonna go.
Yeah, I know it's unfortunate because everybody is so accustomed to the online shopping now, and not necessarily because it's been like, yes, it has been a slow, gradual push, like for online shopping, especially with Amazon and even the curbside pickup, like things like that.
And grocery shopping? I mean, people are like, whoa, this is easy. You know,
exactly.
Just put in my order and someone will do it for me and bring it to my house. Yeah. So I think in retail, we're going to see, it's going to be a huge change in the landscape.
Yeah, I think so too. I definitely think so too. And it's a shame because I know that one of like the first stores in the pandemic to file for bankruptcy recently was J. Crew. And they were hurting before the pandemic. And it just makes you think about like who's going to follow next.
Yeah.
You know?
Who do you guys think? Who else? Who do you think is going to be next in line?
I don't know. I feel like JCPenney and Sears are just
Macy's too. Even though I love Macy's, I really think they're going to be hurting too.
I think so too. Any stores that you see that are going to be like thriving and doing very well?
I feel like the obvious ones are like Target and Walmart. And I mean, they're always thriving, but especially now, the competition between those guys, Target, Amazon, and Walmart, like the competition between all of them right now is insane. And I just think that like they're going to continue to come up with these new like innovations and new ways to compete with each other. That's just, they're going to take over the world.
Like Starbucks too, Starbucks and Dunkin' Donuts, because they have the drive-through delivery, and I just think, I mean, they always have business, but I feel like I have to look at statistics, but it just doesn't seem like they ever stop getting more customers,
Yeah,
As a person who works, part-time sometimes at Dunkin', they are as busy on Sundays as they are in the pandemic as they were when they weren't, except just as social distancing measures, and the line wraps around like outside, even without a drive-through. And so I've even driven past a lot of Dunkin's, whereas Starbucks closed partially during the pandemic. Well, Dunkin's been open the whole entire time. So
Yeah, I think it's just really going to force a lot of retailers to have that online presence, because it's really what keeps them alive. There are some stores that I guess doesn't really make sense to have an online presence, like stores like TJ Maxx and Marshalls and things like that. Like they are retailers, like you can't really put that stuff online because you're never sure what they're going to have,
One of a kind type of things. Yeah.
Right. It's almost like a step up from like a thrift store. That's what I like to think of it.
But we love it. We love those stores.
Oh, I love it. Yeah. But I definitely think it's going to force a lot of retailers to start making some big changes.
And I think we're going to see very soon, once the stores are all open, lots of sales, because they're going to be competing, as we've said, for the business. And they're going to offer the promotions as they've been doing online and trying to get people back, shoppers back in the actual stores. And so I think it's going to be, in a way, as marketers that we've been studying this, it's going to be exciting. It's going to be a lot of changes, and it'll be fun to watch.
Yeah, I didn't even think about the sales. There's definitely going to be
tons of sales.
Competition's going to be ridiculous.
And, you think like nobody's really been shopping for various reasons. People are concerned about their job security. People are just trying to keep that nest egg there in case they need it. But once the stores burst open, I think it's going to be like, whoa, hold me back. And people are I think the sales are going to spike so high in like end of May and June. It's going to be, we're going to hit all-time records.
Yeah, I just hope that people feel more secure financially, because I think if there's anything that's going to keep people from stop spending, it's the fact that like this hit out of nowhere and so many people lost their jobs that they feel like they need to have that safety net of savings all the time. I think that's the only thing that would like limit the spending.
Yeah, that's a good point, Alyson. And if you read any of the articles, which you probably shouldn't read the news because it's not like that positive, but they're saying that it's still going to be like an avalanche, and we're still going to keep losing jobs for a while, because the repercussions of all the jobs that have been lost, and other people were in turn losing jobs. So you're right. But I think those people who are secure are going to have to carry the economy, and I think they will.
How about education? I know education has obviously affected all of us. 3 of us are students. Dr. Guskey, you're a professor. We've all seriously been affected by education because we've all moved online. College campuses, no one's living on campus anymore. And people are concerned for like what's going to happen next year and what's it going to look like. So there's a lot of different speculations. And I know that people are having, and like the faculty and administration at schools are like having meetings all the time to try to figure out what to do in the fall. Some people are talking about not even having a fall semester. Some people are talking about, going online for the first half of the semester, and then after Thanksgiving break, not coming back. So there's just so many things that are up in the air. But I think that's especially for universities. But for like elementary and high school, I know some people were talking about like the U.S. News and World Report. They were talking about students maybe being served lunch at like their desks instead of a cafeteria where they're so close to each other, or like having new schedules where the students will stay in a classroom, but the teachers will rotate so that like kids can be spaced farther apart and they won't have to be like so close together in the hallways all the time. So, this is another thing that they were saying, like they could start with remote learning and then transition the kids into physical buildings. So it's a matter of like the administration trying to figure out what makes the most sense, I think. But personally, I think that across the board, technology is going to be implemented into the classrooms like so much more. Like, because I think a lot of universities and a lot of schools, I know my brother's high school was not prepared for this, and the technology was just not where it needed to be for everybody to move online, you know? And I think that that's definitely going to be a priority in the future for schools, is making sure that if this were to ever happen again, that like technologically they're prepared and everybody's prepared to move online, so that it'll be more of a like seamless transition, you know?
Yeah, it's a concern, especially for the universities, because I know from what I've read, enrollment, student like admissions are down significantly, because a lot of students are thinking, if I can't go to school and be in a classroom and have the social aspects of college life, then what's the point of going? I can stay at home and do it in my bedroom. That's not fun.
Right.
So it's a big concern. And keep in mind, a lot of colleges, I don't know if you guys are aware, were really hurting because the numbers of students have declined, and so there's not as many people your age, and so as a result, it's bad. You know, it was like with retail, it was bad before, and this is just going to perhaps close some of the schools that were struggling.
Yeah. What do you guys think, like, even this coming fall semester is going to look like? Dr. G, have you heard anything from the university, our university, at all?
Well, we're talking, and basically I think we can't plan anything yet, but the word on the street is that maybe hybrid, Alyson, like you had said.
Okay.
You know, so maybe you do some classes in the classroom and then some online, and you just alternate, and then how are we going to put them in the classroom, every other desk, or, you know, like, you know, but some of those classes were pretty packed, and so.
I was going to say, do we have the space for that?
Well,
like, that's the big concern, is there's enough space?
Well, for you do maybe like certain classes, every other class is online, so maybe you alternate with another class.
Okay.
I don't know. But you know, I hate to say this, but the feedback that I got from my students when we were doing the online classes was, they were sad. They missed being in the classroom. They missed seeing each other. The presentations weren't the same. It just it wasn't the same. It wasn't the same. And for certain topics, maybe not marketing per se, but like math and science types of classes, I mean, to explain that technology and that really complex concepts, it's hard. It's hard.
Yeah, there's definitely some classes that you really can't do online. Like, I know that we were one of my friends is a biology major, and she had a bunch of labs this semester. Ooh. Like, how are you supposed to do that online? You know, like
or the music school. I mean, how do you have your concerts and performances?
I just think it's interesting how like they're focusing so much on like keeping the distance in the classroom. But for universities, we're all living together. You know what I mean? Like, we're all so close in that aspect. Some parts of it that don't make sense, you know?
Yeah. Now, Lexi, you just graduated. So how did that feel to not have a graduation?
I think that was the saddest part. You know, through the whole quarantine, my mom wanted to do something little for me for graduation. She set out balloons, and, you know, it was just sad. I told her I didn't even want it because, you know, you have all this expectation to live up to, like, walk across the stage for 4 years, and then it's recorded online, and you're watching it, and it's bittersweet because you want to be so happy, like, oh, I just graduated, but like I can't even bring myself to like post any pictures of me in my cap and gown. It just makes me so heartbroken because it's like, this is not how this is supposed to be at all. So
did they talk about doing anything like any actual graduation in the fall or anything like that?
Yeah, they were planning to do one in the fall, but I don't think they've set a date because, you know, nobody knows.
Right. Yeah.
But a lot of schools, I think, are doing that. And
Yeah.
I'm not sure of this, but I think Pitt and another Pittsburgh school said they're actually going to have classes. Did anyone?
In the fall?
Yeah, they said they're going to have school. I mean, the universities are going to be open and they're going to have regular classes.
I don't know. I haven't heard anything about that. I'll have to look that up.
Yeah, Pitt was one of them. So, yeah, and
Well, that's promising.
Yeah, and I think Duquesne will definitely. I shouldn't say definitely, but I think they're going to do their best to get us back on the campus.
Mm-hmm. It's going to be weird. It's going to be different, but lots of technology in the classroom. I think that's definitely going to be one of the big changes. For the last one we want to touch on is restaurants. I know people have been doing takeout, but it's not the same. It's not the same as being in a physical restaurant. So, Lexi, what do you think it's going to look like?
So besides missing seeing all of my friends and family, I personally miss going out to restaurants.
Mm-hmm.
So I think what we're really going to start seeing kind of obvious things are restaurant owners are going to have to strictly adhere to the maximum occupancy of like their building. And it's not just going to be, hey, this is a fire hazard, you can't do this, but more of like this health concerns. And then obviously staff are going to be wearing gloves at any point when they're touching food. So this is going to be your waiters or waitresses, but even in the kitchen, sometimes people just, they wash their hands and they prepare your food, but they'll have to have gloves on at all time. A trend which we've seen with the on the goers, the curbside pickup is mobile payment. So looking towards, minimizing touch by having the phone and just paying on the app and showing them that you paid. That way there's no cash being exchanged, no germs being exchanged. And then less tables, creating more distance. So really that goes back to the occupancy. It's like you don't want all these people in. So really there's going to be like this change of mantra and like spacing of the tables. And then disposable menus. That's another thing which I've researched and a lot of people are talking about. So instead of just, because they would have to wipe down each menu and like make sure that's all clean and, the pens and that people are sanitizing pens and stuff like that using disposable, because that way you can just do it and it gets recycled paper, whatever it may be. And then obviously the sad truth is there's going to be a lot of closing of restaurants because a lot of people haven't been able to do this curbside pickup or, do the delivery and takeouts, and they can't sustain operations doing that. So we're going to see a lot of closing of restaurants, which I'm very sad about.
Yeah.
But, it's definitely be interesting and coming here in the future where we're all out of lockdown.
Yeah. Now, Lexi, when you were looking at that, I mean, what's, to me, one of the big profit points for them is the alcohol, the drinks. So, because a lot of times restaurants, I mean, the food they're making money on, but did you find that? And I'm thinking that's probably a big problem that restaurants have had is just providing the food and not serving any kind of drinks.
Yeah, I didn't actually see anything implying the drinks, but I think that's something like interesting to talk about because I know personally I've never even heard of, taking the alcohol to go and, them providing that service. I think that could be a big opportunity in the future if that's going to be allowed to honestly make a lot of sales because people do that all the time, instead of, going to the liquor store or whatever they do, they just go to their favorite restaurant, get their favorite beverage. I know that there's this little like beer store by my friend's house where they make alcoholic slushies and they give it to you. They just put the tape on top of the lid and then you go. So I think that's like an opportunity that if restaurants are allowed to do that, because obviously rules and regulations, that could be interesting.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I hadn't thought about the alcohol. That's a really good point.
And also, I mean, just any kind of beverages like pop, as we say in Pittsburgh. I mean, they pay 10 cents for, a glass of soda pop and they're selling it for $2, $3, $5. So beverages overall, not just the alcoholic ones.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think the main thing that I was thinking about was like I know how important you're talking about to be, you know, at a certain capacity. Like you want a smaller capacity, but like that's hard because people try to pack those restaurants as much as you can because that's where your income comes from, you know? And if you can't have as many people in the restaurant, like you better hope that people are taken out, even if they can't physically sit in there, you know? Because then when you have less people, you're making less money, then you need less servers, less workers overall, and that's just more jobs. That's going to be tough.
And I think it'll be difficult too, because if there's less capacity, the servers are going to be trying to turn around as fast as possible. So is this quality of service going to be suffering, or do you even want to go to the restaurant at that rate? Because if they just want, you know, because they can only have so many people in, are they going to rush you out so they can get more people in? Because I like going out to restaurants because, you know, sometimes I don't want to cook dinner, you know, and I want to be waiting on and have a conversation with my waitress. They're like, nope, get out. That would suck. So
yeah, I didn't think about that. The whole personal, like, you know, aspect of a restaurant with your server could definitely be affected, and the quality. That's a really good point. I didn't think about that.
Yeah, and when you think about service overall, what is service in general across the board going to look like?
Yeah.
You know, I'm thinking of teaching in the classroom, and if I can't see my students, or, you know, we're not together as often, or I'm not allowed to get close to them, you know, then you know, the personal touch is going to be gone.
Yeah, it's almost like people are going to be playing catch up, you know, and like, so they're not going to be focusing as much on the quality as the quantity because they're trying to catch up from all those lost sales.
One of the things I'm really wondering about is when they start opening the hair salons and the nail salons.
Oh my gosh.
People are going to be there at 6 a.m. waiting in line or like calling, like, please take me, I'm desperate.
Yeah, I know. People are dying with their nails. My little brother is freaking out. He hasn't had a haircut in months.
I wonder too if these things are going to be more of a luxury, especially eating out. Like, I wonder if people are going to eat out less and kind of make it more of a, you know, more of a date night or more of a just an anniversary,
like a special occasion,
right? Instead of just like a weekly, you know, outing. I wonder if people are going to make it more special, and maybe that will make the quality better. You know,
maybe
if it's more few and far between. So
yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah. And one of the things I am upset about, and that I miss the most, is going to Mass. I go to daily Mass, and I miss going to church. And I think that, you know, you sometimes wonder why, and does it have to be closed this long? And couldn't they have come up with, you know, governments allow? I mean, if you can have a restaurant and have half the people, and I know in other states they're doing that, where you can have a Mass and church services, but yet you have people, you know, socially distancing themselves. I think that's something. And then I wonder, you know, maybe the stores are going to be packed as they open. What's going to happen with the churches? Are people going to be like, I missed Mass, I'm coming, I missed my church service, let me in, you know? And, you know, maybe you take a number, or every other alphabetically you go, like, you guys go to the 9:30 Mass and you guys go to the 11 o'clock Mass. I don't know.
Right. Maybe they'll just offer more times, you know? Maybe they'll have more opportunities throughout the day to go.
Yes.
So you can spread it out between people. I think that would be probably the best option.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if they're allowed to do this, but those of us who go to the daily Mass, you know, there's not as many people. So maybe they say you don't have to go on Sunday, just as long as you go once a week, but, you know, one day of the week.
Yeah. There's definitely going to have to be a lot of work, like ways that they can work around it, you know?
Yeah, but I think we can do it, no matter it's church, school, retail, restaurants. We can do this. We can do this, guys. You know, we're America. We're smart. We're tough. You know, we can get through this, and we've gotten through it. Hopefully, the worst, and keep everybody safe. And obviously, once we get the vaccine or a cure, then you know, this will all be behind us. But until then, we still have to take the precautions. And you know what else we miss? Fitness centers. Oh my gosh! I mean, how are we keeping fit? Oh, it's.
I told my mom I'm probably going to cancel my membership, and I wonder if a lot of people are going to do that too.
Is it because you found that you can do it at home as easily? Really?
Beach body on demand.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I know that, especially I was part of Planet Fitness, and I know that Planet Fitness, one of their big things is like we would wipe down every machine after we used it anyway, you know? So it's almost like they're just going to have to really enforce those, I guess, those regulations or whatever more intensely. And they're going to have to do a lot more cleaning because I think people are hesitant to go back to fitness centers.
I think we've covered a great spectrum of everything, and hopefully we've solved all of the world's problems, or at least some of the problems. And it's always nice to take a look at retail, and we as the Dream Team, that's what we do.
Yeah. I just think it'll be interesting to see what others, you know, who comes out of this sort of alive in terms of retailers.
Yeah.
I definitely think that if there's one thing, I think it will be that consumers are going to be a lot more conscious of their savings. And I think it's going to affect consumer buying behavior in the future. Definitely. So all we got to do is wait and see. Yeah. So thank you guys for joining us all today. We were able to get together and talk about this. It's interesting to get everybody's perspective, you know, and see what we all think. So from everyone here at Consumer Sense, we're here to make sense for you. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Alyson.